Welcome to the Mill Brook Railroad. Today, we're working on some wide spots on the track, and I'm going to show you some of the results we've gotten from some of our experiments with 3D printed resin tie plates. Now, you would think that the biggest problem with these tie plates would be that they warp in the sunshine. While that is true, that is not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is actually that they shatter, and that is an unacceptable amount of wiggle in the rail right there. It's fine up here, but over here, not so much. And looks like I've got some other work to do here too. So what we're going to do is, we haven't finished experimenting with tie plates. I have some white metal tie plates. This might actually be aluminum. Somebody cast these for me. I confess I forgot who it was that cast these, but thank you very much. But I've only got 16 of these in total. I've already used some of them, but I'm going to replace some of these tie plates in here with these, because I have a small handful of them. I think I only need to do 3 or 4 of them, and that'll tame this section here. This tie here, there isn't much hope for it. It failed, and well, it hadn't failed before the snow fell, but well, it failed since then, and that happens. That's just reality. So we learn from it, and we move on, and we pick up the pieces of the old plastic tie plates, and we recycle them. So I guess the first thing to do would be to check the track gauge. So come over here with the Australian roller track gauge. And okay, it is engaged now, but it does move out, as I demonstrated. It actually moves quite a lot. So I'm going to just bypass this particular one here. I'm going to put a tie plate here. And let's see, that one needs to be replaced, and that one needs to be replaced. This one is actually holding still, so I guess we'll just leave that one. I don't know. Probably the best thing would be to leave it for right now. So let's put some tie plates in. Weather information today, about 42 degrees Fahrenheit. Not sure what that is in Celsius, but it's at least above freezing, so it's not completely miserable out here. That actually makes it easier to work on the track. Despite the fact that there's kind of a humid wind blowing, makes it a little bit uncomfortable. But I'll manage. I am not even going to bother with this tie plate here. Or that tie. The tie has failed. There's no hope for it, I don't think. Well, maybe there is. Maybe there is. I mean, the tie plate's failed anyway. What harm's it going to do to take it out, even if I don't replace it? Right? So this is how they're failing. They're splitting at the stress points. The stress point being the screw holes. So that's good to know. That helps us with other materials too, like with the white metal. So I'll just put this white metal tie plate in place here, and make sure that it's the right orientation. There's a 2-degree cant to it, 2-degree slope from here going down this direction, and you want to point that towards the other rail, because the rails need to tip towards each other. I'm going to use longer screws to put this in. And we'll see how well this works. Starting to deflect in the wrong direction. Kind of expected that, to be honest. This tie is going to be replaced in the spring for sure. It's splitting out and shredding itself as I put the screws in. It's definitely a failed tie. Now, why do they fail more in the wintertime? That's because they're saturated. Snow and ice, it's all water. So, actually that probably tamed this whole area right, just doing that. But I'm going to do another one right here. Yeah, snow and ice, that's all water. And, water saturates the ties. And when the ties get saturated, they just don't hold anymore. And it's bad enough to have a tie plate fail on you. But when the tie plate and the tie fails on you at the same time, well, that's winter time for one thing. And for another thing, it's the worst of the whole situation. Let's see if I can get that piece of plastic out of there. There we go. There. Get rid of that. All right, we're still within tolerance on the gauge, so that's good news. Okay. Still there, good. All right, so we've got a good tie next to a couple of bad ties. So it's getting more stable as we're going. That's good. Now I'll replace this one. This tie is not doing well. Maybe this is the tie plate. We already knew that just by looking at it. The tie had to look just a little bit closer, but not much. And you can see that it's split. And the more I do it, the more it's going to split. Make sure I have it tipped in the right direction. like it's going to work. I'm just going to put some screws in this one. I'm going to do that because there's a height difference. I'll just move you a little bit here. The height difference is the thickness of the tie plate. And because everything's still kind of frozen in place here, it's best to just keep the height the same. I'm going to put screws on both sides. That one's not going to do much except plug the hole. That'll buy us a little bit of time till spring, I hope. Same with that one. They're just there for emotional support. So, does the track wiggle? It does not. It's nice and firm there, and on both sides too. So this part is fixed. On to the next one.
Video is brought to you by MillBrookRailroad.com. Head over to MillBrookRailroad.com where you can check out our merch store, where you'll find handy things like these coffee mugs. We have these printed by a third-party supplier. Pretty much the rest of the items in the store are made right here in-house, though, like these Siren 50 motor controller covers, basically a dust cover for the motor controller that we use in the 70 and the other locomotives that we built. 1:8 scale searchlight signal heads. We have these 1:8 scale marker lamps, which came out really nice, and they include the mount, by the way. And we have these ES2 500 locomotives that we build. These are 1:8 scale locomotives, roughly 1:8 scale. They're not a model of any particular prototype, but they're just a nice four-wheel industrial locomotive that, if you're just getting into the hobby, it's a nice engine to start with. Matter of fact, it's a little bit bigger than our Mill Brook 70, but certainly modeled after it, and you probably notice the family resemblance there. The next thing on our list here in the store is headlight assemblies, and let's see, did I have... Oh, yes, there we go. Some pictures of the headlight assemblies. And this picture illustrates how well a beam of light they cast. They're quite bright, actually. Then we have 3 light signal heads. Now, the signal heads don't come with electronics in them yet. Maybe they will someday. And then we have our loco jack. And the loco jack is, it's a jack that you can use to lift up your derailed locomotives and cars, something that we make quite a lot of use of here at the Mill Brook Railroad. So there it is, millbrookrailroad.com. Check it out. Help support the channel. Most of the things in the shop there are made right here, and then we ship it out as soon as it's ready.
Alright, we are at our next location where things have been coming off. Not sure exactly what the cause is, but we're going to check the track gauge and see. And this is where the roller gauge really shines. So far, so good. It's all good. A little more. Okay, so I think this spot here is not a track gauge problem. This is probably these kinky joints, which I have to bend into shape. All right, so that's a different issue entirely. Today we're just fixing gauge issues. See how quickly I just checked the 20 feet of track? I think it was actually 25 feet of track. This roller track gauge is brilliant. Read about this in an article from the Australian Association of Live Steamers, and it's bloody brilliant, mate. Alright, this is a section of track that we worked on just before the snow came. Jacked the track up, ballasted. Ballast is still a little loose, hasn't completely compacted in, but the snow is kind of helping that in a way. So, time to run the roller gauge up and down this section, because we were derailing here. We derail fairly consistently here with the 70 and its narrow front axle, which I do have to fix eventually, but, well, this is also important. Right now I can use it as an early warning. Well, this is revealing. Alright, so we're way out here. We're way out. So are we way out here too? Yeah, we're way out here too. That's up quite a bit. Look at that gap right there. That's a bit excessive. Our tolerance is that tiny little step right there. That little step right there. That's where it should come to at its widest. Let's see the extent of this. Okay, so it ends here. Well, basically where I stopped ballasting. That's good to know. One thing that's also good is I intend to replace this rail come springtime. It's like some of the other old rail that we've replaced. This rail has seen its better days, and this is its second or third railroad. Don't know exactly how many railroads it's been on, but I know that when I bought the rail, it was already 60 years old. And actually, this section here, I think this rail was actually given to me, and it was also 60 years old, but this had been used. So, and that was 15 years ago. So, yeah, it's not the age of the rail, it's how much it's been used and how badly. So, let's see where the other end of this mess is. Basically along the whole guardrail, it needs to be pushed in. It's tolerable here, but it's getting intolerable here, and it's even worse a little further down. So, well, I've got a lot of work to do here. I can see just by looking at the screws that that inside rail has moved in quite a bit. The real problem right here is that this outside rail is worn. And that's what's giving me problems there. But I was able to kick it back into shape. That'll probably hold the winter like that. I've had it hold the winter before. You know, just in case, I guess I'll sink a few screws in here just to make sure the track doesn't move any further. Like I said earlier, this rail's getting replaced in the spring. It looks like the ties will need it too. That's okay. That's acceptable through there. I think I've got the worst of this spot where I was actually coming off. So I'm gonna call that good. The gauge agrees with me. The one spot where it gets a little wide right here. Kick that back with my foot ever so subtly. There we go. I'll put a screw in that to hold it. There we go, that's good for now. Aluminum tie plates are not going to help me here right now. It'll help me later with new rail, but that joint is pretty badly wore out. If it weren't so cold, I'd replace this rail right now. But I try not to lay rail below 50 degrees if I can help it. Definitely not while there's snow and ice on the track, though. So I went back through and checked all this with the roller gauge, and it all checks out pretty good right now. So I'm confident that it will not give me any troubles for at least the next couple of runs. I mean, we don't want to be overconfident here, do we? Well, thanks for watching today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something. I learn something every time I come out and work on the track, even if it's something just tiny. But one of the things we deal with every winter is saturated ties, and well, one of the solutions to that, I believe, is some good tie plates. And on the curves, I am thinking very seriously of replacing the 5/8 rail with 835 thousandths rail. That doesn't cleanly translate to any fraction or any metric equivalent. It's just 835 thousandths of an inch, which is, I think, a little over 15 millimeters, maybe 18, somewhere around there. Between 15 and 20 anyway, millimeters. So, thanks for watching today's video. Hope you did enjoy it. Join us over on Patreon for early access to videos and some exclusive content. That's patreon.com/Mill Brook Railroad. And also check out our merch at millbrookrailroad.com. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.